Presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Vicky Kamila. I am from 8 SKS and my attendance list is 29. Today I will explain to you about the social subject. So the first thing I want to discuss with you is about the periodization of the pre-literate period. The first one is geological period. So it is divided into some parts, and number one is the archaic era. It's when the earth crust was still very hot and there was no sign of life in it. And then the next is the Paleozoic era. It's when small invertebrate animals appear. Also various types of fish, amphibians and reptiles too. And then the Mesozoic era is when giant reptiles existed, or also known as dinosaurs. And then the Neozoic era, it is divided into two parts. The first one is the Tertiary era and Quarter era. The Tertiary era is when the large reptiles decrease and population of mammals increase, while the Quarter era is also divided into two parts. There are Holocene, which is when the archipelagos of Indonesia are formed, and Pleistocene, which is when the Ice Age started. Then let's move on to the second period. So it is archaeological periodization. So archaeological periodization is like periodization based on its tools, like the Stone Age. So Stone Age is when most of the tools that support human life are still made of stone. The first one is Paleolithic, or the Old Stone. The stone was still in form of the unsharpened stone, like a hammer axe or flake tools. Humans were still hunting, catching fish, and collecting food. And then the next is Mesolithic, or Middle Age stone. The characteristics of this era were the Kejoken Modinger culture, or the big pile of shellfish. Humans experienced the period of hunting and gathering too in this era. And then the next is Neolithic or New Stone Age. So humans began to live sedentary life and not nomadic. The famous product in this era are square axis and oval axis. Then humans experienced the period of farming in this era. Then the last is Megalithic or Big Stone. It is when Indonesian people began to know about the animism and dynamism beliefs. And after all of the Stone Age, we moved to the Middle Age. It is only divided into the Bronze Age and Iron Age because we didn't experience the Copper Age. There were many tools like moko, nagara, and bronze vessels. And in the end of the prehistoric era, there was a legislative period or Perundagian period. The cultural values are, so the first one is the religious values. It developed the animism and dynamism beliefs, and in cooperation value, they started to live together in a community and started to do mutual cooperation. And in deliberation value, there are elections to choose the leader. In justice value, they have their own job depending on their gender. And then there are farming and maritime traditions too. After talking about all of that, we moved on to the entry process of Hindu Buddhism to Indonesia. There are 4 theories that I learned, like Vaishya theory, Satriya theory or night theory, also Brahma theory, and backflow theory. So for the influence of Hindu Buddhism on Indonesia, it was divided into 4 parts, like the government sector. In government sector, we began to know about the king system. And the second is the social sector. In the sector, we learned about caste system. And in economics, the trading activities developed. In cultural sector, the building, arts, fine arts, and literary arts were influenced by the Hindu Buddhism. Then, the entry process of Islam occurred. The first is by trade, then marriage, education, art, and also political way. Islam religion influenced Indonesia in political, cultural, social, religion, and education aspects. And I think that's all from my explanation. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.